Доброго дня та добрий вечір. Від імені спільноти Флоридського міжнародного університету у Майамі доктор Хіларі Ландорф, виконавчий директор Офісу глобальних навчальних ініціатив, та я, Мałgorzata Durygin, маємо честь привітати сьогодні доктора Василя Бялика, завідувача кафедри комунікативної лінгвістики та перекладу, та доктор Оксану Петренко, доцента цієї ж кафедри, їх колег та студентів із Чернівецького національного університету імені Юрія Федковича, а також гостей з Чернівців, Майамі і не тільки. Ми хотіли подякувати учасникам з України за те, що ви в такий непростий час прийняли наше запрошення до спільного діалогу. Ми вдячні вам за вашу хоробрість у боротьбі за наші спільні вартості, зокрема за свободу та демократію, які не дані нам раз і назавжди. Разом з вами віримо, що, як каже ваш лідер, життя переможе смерть, а світло – темряву. Дякую. Thank you.
Thank you, Małgorzata. Hello, good evening. I'd like to welcome our FIU students, faculty, administrators, and friends to one of our most noteworthy events. Today, we'll be speaking live with faculty and students who represent our counterparts at Chernivtsi National University in Chernivtsi, Ukraine. On behalf of the whole FIU community, I'd like to express our profound appreciation and gratitude to our guests for their willingness and efforts to speak to us directly about their situation in Ukraine today. In this time, it's critical for all of us to hear directly from those who bear witness to history. Your direct testimony will help us build support for your individual and your collective well-being. Democracy exists as a commitment or not at all. In taking the risks you do on a daily basis, you are making possible the continuation of democracy for all of us. Please know that we're in awe at your strength of mind, body, heart, and soul as you continue your courageous fight for democracy, for you, for us, and for the world. I'd like to now introduce Dr. Shlomi Dinar, Interim Dean of the Stephen J. Green School of International and Public Affairs at FIU. Dr. Dinar is also the faculty director for the Master of Arts in Global Affairs program. His research interests lie at the intersection of international environmental politics, security, and negotiation, all essential interconnected areas of international relations. Thank you for being with us, Dean Dinar. We're happy that you're here.
Thank you so much, Dr. Landorf, for the introduction and more importantly, for organizing this event for our students and inviting me to say a few words to our guests from Ukraine. I'm honored to be here with all of you, though I wish the circumstances were much different. To our friends from Ukraine, students and faculty members who join us from their university, please know we are humbled by your willingness to be with us today and to share your stories. You are witnesses to history, a terrible history, and we are so proud of you for your bravery and your tenacity in the face of such difficulties. Since the Russian invasion began in February, we in the United States have watched this war unfold with great sadness. Many of our faculty and some students as well have experience in the region, traveling or studying, doing research, or simply living, and it is with tremendous concern that we watch your struggle from afar. Please know that your fight for democracy is the world's fight. We support you and we are with you in spirit, if not on the ground. At the Green School, we are committed to fostering a greater understanding of global issues and the common struggles of our one human family. Through our Václav Havel program for human rights and diplomacy, we are especially concerned about the struggle for democracy around the globe, and we have hosted many great leaders from Eastern Europe and other regions to inspire and educate our students so that they understand the privilege and responsibility of freedom and democracy, and that as our future global leaders, they will be able to make the best, most informed decisions. Earlier this year, we hosted Yuri Sergeyev, the former Ukrainian ambassador to the United Nations, and he shared with our students his views on the Ukrainian patriots, whose principal goal is to protect and further build on independent, democratic, and prosperous Ukraine. That is what we wish for you as well. I applaud you for joining this conversation with our students and for sharing your insight on the situation in Ukraine and what we in the United States may be able to do to help. Thank you again for being here. We send you our heartfelt wishes for peace, for safety, and the safety of your friends and family. Thank you, and Slava Ukraine.
Героям слава.
Thank you, Shlomi. We're also honored to have with us two distinguished faculty, many distinguished faculty members, but two I'm going to introduce from Chernivtsi National University. That's Drs. Vasyl Bialik and Oksana Petrenko. Dr. Bialik is a full professor and chair of the Department of Communicative Linguistics and Translation, specializing in the theory and history of translation. And Dr. Petrenko is an associate professor of second and foreign language linguistics and linguistics research. Thank you so much for joining us and for bringing your students into this vital conversation. So we'll first hear a few words from Dr. Bialik and then Dr. Petrenko.
Thank you, Dr. Landorf. I have a privilege and honor to say some welcome words at this meeting. And I do hope that this is not one-day event or one-time meeting, as I do believe that we'll have to conduct such meetings frequently on a continual basis, so to say, every time. I think that I would like also to express my deep gratitude to Dr. Landorf and Ms. Malgorzata Durygin, as well as Michelle Zalwid. And I really greatly appreciate your assistance and support with Ukraine. And you see, you make us stronger because we believe that we can defend these values that you share, that we share together. And here among the students who are mostly from Ukraine, there is also one of our students who is from Syria, so who knows better. So this is exactly what Dr. Dina Shlomi mentioned about global values and democracy we're talking about. So I suppose that probably she will also share with her impressions and her experiences as for this war against Russia. I would like to thank you all for making this meeting possible. And probably first and foremost, I must mention also Ms. Irina Lambrianidis, because it was she who got acquainted with you. I mean, and I think that I wish that you had a good discussion today. And this is not going to be just the last one, but this is just the beginning of our cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dr. Petrenko?
Okay, hello everybody, and I'm very thankful for everybody who made this meeting. You see, and we are really impressed for such occasion that American friends can try to be interested in our situation. You see, it is really crucial and very difficult period for Ukraine, and our struggle for our freedom and for our independence is very hard, but I hope and I know that we will win, you see, because the price is very, very high for everybody of us, not only for Ukraine, but for the whole world. And I hope so that it is not the first and the last one meeting. Maybe in future, when when we win, after our victory, we will see you in our country, in our city, and we will show you the beautiful city. Perfectly, for sure, beautiful city and beautiful university. And I hope so that our students from both sides, from the United States of America and from Ukraine, they will be very great friends, big friends, something like we are. I think nowadays we are something like relatives because you are so very, very, very close to us. You try to understand our, maybe our problems, and you try to understand our life. And maybe you can be in touch with this. You hear the signals of alert, and it is something like symbolic. You see, it's very symbolic. You feel, what does it mean? What does it mean for us, and what does it mean for the whole world? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this meeting, and I hope so that it will be in future, not speaking only about the war and the life in war, but also about the peace and how to renovate this country. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Petrenko. Now we're going to go and have the students have a chance to express their views. And we'll go through a few questions. For the students, you can put your answers in chat, or we unmute your speaker, and we'd love to hear from you. First question for you. Just, if you would, please describe your daily life now during the war. If you would describe, we'd like to know what you do in your daily life during the war. What's your daily life like?
So I wake up early in the morning with the thought of the upcoming day and the tasks that I might tackle and the possibilities of me improving the situation in this country. Also, of course, all of us are trying to study and to achieve some results and to try to follow the routine. However, with the constant bombing, with the constant air raid alarm, it is pretty hard to not to be stressed and not to think about different aspects of your life, and not to ask yourself a thought-provoking questions. However, I'm pretty sure that all of us are trying to pretend like everything is fine, and that we try to be strong, be courageous, and always to follow our day through. We are trying to do everything possible, everything in our power to make our families proud, to make everyone proud, and always be happy, because that's what our soldiers are fighting for. They're fighting for us to be happy, to be free, to enjoy the freedom and peace.
Thank you, Dina. Let's hear from another student.
I would like to say some words. Every day is, every day includes this constant fear of unknown, because especially when you hear air raid sirens, you need to protect yourself, but you really don't know how. And you are just thinking about all those people who are fighting for our freedom, and for those people who are hearing those air raid sirens every single day and throughout the whole day, and you just feel very bad. You feel horrified. And I am reading the news, what is happening, and I just get overwhelmed. I can start crying just because I feel like it's it's so bad because our country has always been fighting for freedom, and right now we cannot give up. We need to win, and I know that this will happen one day. It's just I need to continue living and to protect myself, to protect my relatives, and just to help the soldiers to fight for Ukraine.
Thank you, Anastasia, and thank you for being so open about your feelings.
May I add something?
Please.
So hello to everyone. I'm really happy to hear the words you said today. And to talk about the day, I must say that probably nowadays everyone is like maybe on the 24th of February, but we are not afraid anymore, I think, because all of us are expecting the victory, and I think that it will soon come. I just must say that the only thing is like to know that like probably there is no day for any of the Ukrainians to spend like without the help to the military, to the IDPs probably, and that's how like, I'm really proud to be Ukrainian because of that, because there is no day without support like for those who are in need and for our military to finish this war. So that's it, I would say.
Thank you, Maxime. We appreciate those words.
May I add, please?
Please, Nora.
First of all, thank you so much for being here with us. So to be honest, at the beginning of the war, I also had the same feelings when the war in Syria began. I was born in Damascus and lived there until I was 9 years old. My family and I had to leave because life there was unbearable. Uncertainty, fear, sadness, and anger, these are feelings that do not leave me, honestly. But thanks God, my whole family is alive. But my uncle is a military man. So he has been serving and protecting Ukraine since 2014. So on February 21st, of course, he went to defend his homeland, and he was in Kiev, and he miraculously survived. My mom most often cannot call him because often there is not connection. Unfortunately, at the moment, we don't know where he is. He has not responded for a month. So we're trying to call him and we try to support each other. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nora. Pavlo.
Yes, if I might add. So at the beginning of the war, we pretty could say that we all experienced fear, but we knew that we had to adapt to it all, to the new situation that we have faced now, and quickly started volunteering, I think. And when you hear some people that come here to our city from all the cities that suffered from the aggression, that's been bombarded, all the atrocities that have been committed against the Ukrainian people, it's nothing like some news when you experience it firsthand. It's very unfortunate that it happened to them, and we're trying our best. When you try your best to help them, to find shelter for these people, it gives at least some hope that we as Ukrainians can be united and we can help each other to endure and face the aggression of the Russia.
Thank you, Pavlo. We're going to go on to the next question. What do you want us to know about the situation in Ukraine? What would you like us to know about the war?
May I start, please?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I'd like to emphasize the fact that this war has started basically 10 years ago in 2014. And I actually first-handedly felt this pressure as I lived in Eastern Ukraine, in Donbass region. And I knew what fear was when I was 12 years old. So I felt that pressure, and I knew that Russians were not going to save us. And even at that time, they committed a lot of atrocities that were not precedented and were not prosecuted and punished. The world let Putin and his minions, so to speak, get away, and he was unpunished. He basically took a part of our territory, the territory that my family and I used to visit a lot. We used to spend a lot of time there and enjoy beautiful local sightseeing. But because of this proxy war and this hybrid war, we had to flee. We had to, unfortunately, abstain from all of the luxuries that we used to have. And that was an unfortunate page in our history. And now, right now, Russia is committing a lot of crimes and pinning them to neo-Nazis that don't even exist. It's a myth, a common misconception that they are using to weaponize their propaganda and to push their agenda of fighting against terrorism, where they are the real terrorists and they have to be punished for that. And the whole world's community should gather and should tell them that they have to be stopped and they should be put at their place. So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Danilo. Other responses? What do you want us to know about what's going on?
May I?
Maxime.
So as since the war began, I was like cooperating with some big organizations, probably as you heard for Vision. I have faced with a lot of IDPs like in Chernivtsi. And unfortunately, or I don't know, maybe fortunately, I heard a lot of stories like of not the best, like, I don't know, attitude to them. And I must say like that a lot of people, it's like as the process started, it's a long propaganda, like which started far, far away in the past, I must say, because a lot of people which are maybe much older than, I don't know, like the kids, yeah, I'd say really old people, they believe that it's Ukrainian attacking the Russia until they came right here, like to the Western Ukraine, and they even didn't believe that probably such great people living here, because they always believed that the people like Banderitsi and something like that, like I know, are here. But it's not, I must say that this is like was planned not like only this year or not maybe for the last few years. I think it has been planning for a long, long time. And unfortunately, I must say that every person is affected by this war, because it doesn't matter, are you a soldier or are you here in the safe maybe places in Ukraine where you can support only by volunteering and maybe making donations. And also, I'm afraid that you probably don't even imagine how worse maybe it is because of the civilians are killed, because you probably saw the pictures from Bucha, from Irpin, but I'm afraid, for example, in the Western and the South Ukraine, probably like Mariupol or something like this, there's much worse. And I'm really, when it will be occupied, I think the picture will be really, I don't know, scaring. But I think that not a lot of people even imagine how bad is it. So probably that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Maxime.
May I please?
Yes, please, Nora.
So I want to focus your attention on small cities and villages on the front line, which is under fire every day and night. The media doesn't give them much attention, but there are still people who can't just leave their houses for whatever reasons, and hundreds of families who lost their homes. Russia keeps destroying those areas without any military benefit, just pure terror. I'm so sorry, just pure terror against civilians. Also, I want to mention humanitarian problems in occupied territories, because hospitals are used for Russian soldiers and rejected for civilians. So it's almost impossible to get help in case of any emergency. Russia rejects any humanitarian aid from Ukraine to that territory and doesn't support it in any way to civilians. So the only way to help people there is by spreading information, please, and mentioning the International Red Cross or other organization about humanitarian crisis there in all territories that were liberated by the Ukrainian army or military detects new crimes like Bucha. So we're dealing with cruel country that deliberately kills innocent people in all ways, and only together we can stop them. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. That's very helpful for us. If we could, that's a good segue to the next question. And I encourage those of you who haven't spoken yet to give your, to make your voice heard. So what can we do to, if anything, what can we do to help you and your family and friends, or to help Ukraine?
If I may.
Please.
I have no unstable network, so you can hear me badly. So I
No,
apologize
we can hear
for
you
that.
fine.
Okay, that's great. I can say about my family personally. Now my dad is at war, but we are trying our best to help him and to help military in our country. I would rather say that you can help the whole Ukraine and Ukrainian people by spreading the message. As Nura just said, you can spread the word on social media to your friends, family, and anyone you can. If you have a possibility, if you have money, you also can donate to various charitable organizations to support Ukraine. And if you don't have money or you don't have a possibility to do that, you can really help us to bring it to the people's attention, to make more and more people know about it. I will be really helpful for that.
Thank you, Vasim. Tatiana, Anastasia.
I would like to add. We know that a range of countries have committed billions of dollars as an aid for Ukraine, but yet the demand of security assistance is still high because we have been fighting for more than 8 months. And also the main idea is to remember about Ukraine, about the war, that it's still going on. And the best that we all can do is to go on demonstrations and to attract public attention to the fact that the war is still going on, and even wearing like a jacket with the Ukrainian flag on, I guess that also will work. And the worst that can happen is to to get used to such situation and do nothing. It's up to everyone, and everyone has to do that is that people can do.
Thank you, Tatiana. Okay, so we had a question that came in, and we'll share other questions later, but since this question is so related to the question just asked about what we can do, I'd like to ask this now. How can we help and support the efforts to preserve Ukrainian culture?
So first of all, you can always speak out on this topic, as many people even nowadays confuse Russian and Ukrainian culture. which is unacceptable, and they are absolutely different. And that was the Soviet Union's policy before, to incorporate all the cultures and create one culture that would erase the nationality, the culture, the language. And now we are still trying to restore everything that was lost. Like even our letters were taken out from our alphabet, and now we are restoring everything. So please spread the word. Please tell everyone about Ukrainian culture, how it's diverse, how it has a lot of sides to it, and how it can astonish everyone and just stun everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Danilo. Very good advice. Other responses here? How can we spread the word about or help and support efforts to preserve Ukrainian culture? And we'll mix that about what do you want us to know about Ukraine?
Simply just one word only. I want to say that this is the war not only between two countries, but between two cultures, completely different, between two mentalities, completely different. And how old is Ukrainian culture? So it's like 2 millennium or something like that. So I suppose probably the students will just pick up this topic.
Thank you, Dr. Bianek.
May I add something, like in this case?
Yes, please, Maxim.
I also know that there are a lot of Ukrainian singers and bands which are participating all around the world. So I don't know, probably all of us heard a lot of Ukrainian songs, like the one, for example, which won the Eurovision or something like that. I strongly recommend you to visit this concert just to feel like this Ukrainian language, just to feel this Ukrainian culture. And also what is else, as Vasil Dmitrievich said, it's like completely true that we are not the same as Russians. Don't mess with that, because it's two different cultures. And if you check what's going on in the south of Ukraine, where Ukrainian culture is trying to be completely demolished and completely destroyed, so you will find out how important it is just to keep it, because Ukrainian culture has been trying to be destroyed for a long time, because Russians were always against that. It's since the beginning of the existing of USSR and until nowadays. So you just have to know that it's a little bit difference between Ukrainian and Russian. So that's what you need to know.
Yes. And would anyone like to elaborate on this, the differences or something that we can hold on to about Ukrainian culture?
May I just add? And the best way, in my opinion, the best way to raise awareness is to talk with natives, like Ukrainians in this case. I was a former exchange student, and I had a chance to study in the US in 2013-14. And the program that gave me the chance is called FLEX. It was established by the US Department of State after the Cold War and when the Soviet Union broke. And this program, the main aim is to find this mutual understanding between America and the countries that were the part of the Soviet Union at that time. And I had a chance to study in my high school in States. It was a school in Houston district. And the thing I noticed that a lot of Americans at that time in 2013 had no idea that Ukraine was a separate country. We all know in Ukraine that we say just Ukraine, but a lot of my teachers said they're Ukraine because they wanted to add this article that we belong to Russia somehow. And this exchange year has given a lot to me and to my understanding of American culture. But on the other hand, I've developed long-lasting friendship with my American friends, with my former teachers, and the support and the kind words that I received on the 24th of February were beyond description. And my students at my high school remembered me, and they contacted me with their kind wishes and prayers. And I have a feeling that they remember me and they remember Ukrainian culture by this. And this dialogue is just perfect between our students and the students of your university, because they will know more about our traditions here, about our customs. And I'm sure that it will encourage this long-lasting relationship in the future. And we can do we can make it even better if we just continue working and cooperating. It will be the best choice in this case.
Thank you, Dr. Senchek. And I'm sure that what you say is true, that you brought a lot of knowledge and awareness of Ukraine to your US peers when you were.
If I may, I would like to dwell upon this topic a bit more. So I guess that a lot of Americans right now are not aware, part of the Western world is not aware that Ukraine and all of the post-Soviet countries are suffering from, if I may to say so, post-colonial syndrome, because not everyone is seeing Russia as a colonial state, colonial empire, but actually it was. It just because their colonies were not situated on a different continent, most of the people still do not recognize that Russia is a colonial state and needs to be decolonized. Not only about 15 republics that used to create a Soviet Union, but also there are a lot of minority nations in Russia that are still being oppressed, and they are banned for speaking their language as we used to when we were in the Soviet Union. Yeah, for example, I can speak from my personal experience. My great grandfather was a miller, and he had quite successful business in late Tsarist times. But after that, when Red Army came, they named him Kurkul. They confiscated all of his belongings and his mill. And after that, my family lost everything and couldn't recover for like 50 years. And I guess this experience was shared by like millions of my compatriots in Ukraine and in other republics. That is why a lot of people right now who used to be part of Soviet Union are so negative about it and about Russia, because Russians were the main beneficiary of these resources that were dragged out from the colonial states like Ukraine or Baltic states or Poland. That's why they never had so shortages. That's why they not understand what a Holodomor was. When millions of Ukrainians starved to death because all of the grain was confiscated, Russia in that time had a rich life, and they used this grain to pay for a lot of equipment to industrialize like core of Russia. Right now, in those cities like Chelyabinsk or others where Russian tanks are being created to go to war to Ukraine once more. So we need to know, we need to spread this information that a lot of the people in the West don't know yet, that Russia is also a country that needs to be decolonized. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Very important. We have one more question, predetermined questions, and then there are several questions coming in from faculty and students and staff at FIU. And that question is, what do you want us to know that hasn't been reported in the media, that you feel like that needs to be, that we need to hear, that we wouldn't have heard in the media?
If I may try. So regarding maybe the occupied territories that are right now under the Ukrainian control, but still my father, who is a volunteer, been recently to Kharkiv region, and he himself witnessed what destruction and what atrocities have been committed there. And it is said in the media, like when specifically what specifically has been hit. There are shown the examples of who has suffered, but when you actually see it for yourself, you understand that people still live there and they still are in fear of the occupants, and they do not get all the resources that they need. When you see it by yourself, you just realize that the civilization has almost stopped there. No light, nothing, and we're trying our best to help these people to stop this. It's not even Nazification, as the Russia told, is decivilization. It's almost everything has been stripped out of this region. So I think that has to be specified more, that people still need our help now more than ever. So we could recover.
Thank you, Pavel.
May I also add something?
Please. Mhm.
Sorry to cut in.
No, please.
I wanted to tell from my personal experience, because my grandpa always told me how, like in Russian media, they tend to tell that the Russians were oppressed, especially in the east of Ukraine. But that's not completely true, because my grandpa told me that in Moscow, when he used to work there, he was treated unfairly. Whereas in Ukraine, when some people from Siberia or from other regions migrated to Ukraine, they were offered facilities to live in, they were offered jobs, and they were paid equally to Ukrainians. So this narrative that Kremlin is pushing about inequality or oppression was completely untrue. And actually, their actions made the situation even more deteriorating right now.
Thank you, Tina.
If I may.
Please.
Now, I don't know if you already know this information, but because of the shelling over the past few weeks, our country is we have frequent power outages because many power grids have been badly damaged. And for example, my mother now, she's living in this town in Chernivtsi. However, she's living like in the region, in the countryside, and she has no source of electricity from the early morning till now. And even though we are calling this all war, we are reading many stories. For example, I have read many stories from Twitter, from Ukrainian friends, and from people that I know about all the terrible things that are happening there and all the terrible things that Russian soldiers are doing to our fellow Ukrainians, to girls. And I would rather call it not a war, but rather a genocide more.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sorry for interrupting, but I want to add something. First of all, for your mediator, you must maybe the main thing that nowadays we have the genocide of Ukrainian nation, you see, genocide, because a lot of crimes, a lot of violation, you see, and now we have air raid terror all over through the whole country, because we live are always under the alert, you see, and you must know it. You must know it, because our price is very high, but it is very difficult to break us. It's very difficult. But nevertheless, nowadays we must speak about the genocide. The first thing is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pachenko.
I just want to say that right now we have the third air raid siren. So that's just how we live today. So every time we need to go to the bomb shelter or in the corridor, because we have this rule of the two walls that you don't need to be standing next to the window, so you just need to go deeper inside the building in case of the explosion. That's just how we live every day. And sometimes you just get used to it. Like we in the Western Ukraine suffer from this less, but I have a friend from Kharkiv who was in a voice call with me. We were speaking on different topics, playing video games, and once it was an incredible explosion, and he said that was just a Buratino we used to that. He didn't even went somewhere, because he said it flew away to different quarter of the city. It was so unnerving to think, to hear about that. But after that, you just see that probably people are getting used to everything. That's why maybe right now the West and all of the world is so threatened by Russian nuclear threats. But now in Ukraine, we are just waiting for it and saying that there is nothing can be worse than that. So we are not afraid. If that happens, that will happen. So we will live through that. At first, we will be at shock. In a week, we will be like gathering everything that survived, and maybe in a month we will be living as we lived, only like with nuclear particles all around and something like that. So I just want to say that even though Russia tried to threaten the world, I think Ukrainians are the first one who are not afraid of them. And we encourage all of the world not to be afraid of these threats, because, you know, they try to make West appease with Russia, as for example, Chamberlain did with Hitler in 1938. Yeah, you know, at first they agreed to give 1/5 of the Czechoslovakia to Hitler, and what did it lead to? In less than a year, World War started, and nothing was prevented. So that's how it works, at least in our opinion.
Thank you. That's so important for us to hear.
If I may just add, like we have enough press coverage, I suppose, about the war, missile strikes, air raids, but I just want to add that social problems are on the rise, and honestly, I'm scared of planning my future and starting like a family, because I don't know what to expect next. Our salaries decrease. A lot of people lose homes. A lot of homeless people nowadays who depend on volunteers and the humanitarian aid that countries ship us and supply us with. And like the people say that we should prepare for the most severe winter. And I believe it's going to be true, because we now experience power cuts. And honestly, if I talk about myself, if I have no electricity at home, it means I'm hopeless. I have no light, I have no water, I have no gas. So I know that my grandma has the same situation. She lives in the apartment building in the city in eastern, in central Ukraine, and today she said that her local government decided to provide them with some wood, because they plan to have these fires and bonfires in the yards near her apartment building, in case they have no electricity and no heat for a couple of days. And we should be aware that these problems like are increasing as well.
Thank you. Other students, what do you want us to know that hasn't been reported, that you think a piece of information that we wouldn't know from the news?
Can I add? I wanted to say that my father, now he is a combat officer, and he's teaching soldiers and all the stuff about weapons. And when he came home like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he had like 5 days off, and he could come home, and he did. And when he was just talking about the stuff he saw and the things he experienced, and you know, my father has like this character that he's disappointed, but when I was talking to him and when I saw that he was just shaking his head and he was speechless, and I saw tears in his eyes, it was heartbreaking, because he heard all the explosions, and it's so horrifying and disappointing, because people are losing their lives just because they are Ukrainians, just because they want to live the best life, and because they want to be free. They have freedom of speech, and this just needs to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Also, if
Diana.
I could add something, yes. I guess that news channels show to the audience, so to say, only numbers, and I mean how much Ukrainian territory was occupied and liberated, how the number of casualties, or how many people are captured, and so on. But like telling only the numbers doesn't let the audience to feel how devastating and heartbreaking it is. So we should bear in mind that behind those numbers are people. For example, there were photos of a man who held his dead wife's hand because she was killed. For example, a small girl whose face is all in tears because her father was killed while defending his country, his daughter, and while fighting for the freedom of his family. And there are actually thousands of such stories, and we mustn't let like that number increase. So we should remember that there are children who will never turn 10, the students who will never get their diplomas, the brides and grooms that like will never go down the aisle. And I guess that it shouldn't be omitted or considered as inappropriate content on TV, because what is really inappropriate is to keep silent about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Tatiana.
Also, I would like to add that if to compare our armies, I must say that unfortunately, war is always about the death. And I must say that a lot of, like on the east and the south Ukraine, the blossom of our country is dying. And when on the other hand, they do not like look what to mobilize, yeah, so they don't care if they were fighting in any army before, or they know what is army. They just take the people just to make it as a meat, I would say, I don't know, or something like that, just to rush some points. So that's completely different because unfortunately, a lot of people I know that already died. They were like just like the best sons of Ukraine, and I cannot say the same about the Russian warriors, unfortunately.
Thank you, Maxime. We're going to now go to the questions that are coming in the chat. We'll take about 5 or 10 minutes for that. So the first question, has this war influenced your study plans in any way? So for example, have you enrolled in classes that you felt were particularly relevant to what's going on now, or maybe even changed your major because of what's going on? So has the war, or how has the war influenced your study plans?
So may I start with that? So first of all, if you talk about studying, you see that like, even right now there is 3 alarm alerts right now, like the air alerts, and you understand that during our like studying, it's impossible to have studying when it is air alert, because a lot of students are from the eastern Ukraine, probably the center of the middle of the Ukraine, and something like that. So it's difficult because some of them should go to the shelter, like we all should go to the shelter, but still. And it's impossible to have like some of the kind of lessons. Also, it's really awful when during the lesson it appears, because like it's in the middle of the studying, we have to move away. And I don't know if to compare, even like I have got a younger brother and he's like in the kindergarten, and sometimes what is the shelter, I'm really sorry that such like little kids know what is war, and there's no way out of here. So, but that's cool because like they know the real enemy, like because I don't think it will change for a long time, unfortunately, but it affected like from the little kids up to the students, and I think even the professors and teachers like all over Ukraine. So that's what I wanted to say about that.
Thank you.
I also would like to say that I planned this year to study in Austria the economics in order for me to bring this experience back to Ukraine and implement this in practice. However, because of Russia's invasion, my plans had to be put off, and now I'm changing my plans. I'm planning to study in another direction, and perhaps in the future, when the borders are open, I will be able to finally chase my dreams and to get what I always wanted and what I always was striving for.
And what's that? You know.
That was I always wanted to study economics and politics to improve the situation in our country, to make our Ukraine even a better place, as obviously we have problems. Yeah, that's obvious. Every country has problems, but this is why we need to encourage our youth to gain experience from other countries, to learn from them, and then to accumulate this experience and use it to benefit for our country. And this is why it's really important that we combat Russia, we defeat this tyrannical state, and then we are moving forward towards a successful and towards promising future.
Thank you. Anyone else? How has the war affected your study plans? Have you changed majors? Are you departments? Are you studying a particular course because you think it's relevant? Okay. Another question is, how can we at FIU support you the most? How do you think we can support you? We who are on this call and others who couldn't be on the call, what concrete things can we do to support you?
May I please?
Mm-hmm.
So you can help us to spread information about Ukraine on social media, because it's important to show the world truth about what's going on and to fight together against the dictatorship, injustice, and violence. Everywhere in Ukraine, you have a chance to get under fire because Russian army shoots mainly civil objects. It's a crime. It's a crime against humanity and breaking the rules of war, which Russia repeats every single day. So you can be our voice to convey information to the masses and international organizations. Thank you.
We will. Thank you.
I also like to add that I believe that I know that some people in the US think that Ukraine rips them off of their money and their weapons. I totally understand that. And I know that we are asking a lot from you, but I'm asking you to send more weapons, to send more financial support to Ukraine. And I totally understand some people that feel like they're pouring money into Ukraine for no reason, that it's not their war, it's ours. But in fact, it's a war that is about democracy and totalitarism, and it's about values versus oppression. So it concerns the whole world, which is why this victory is so crucial for the future progress.
Absolutely, thank you.
And I also want to add, so of course, my life has changed. As I said, the feeling of fear and hatred does not leave me. My mental state is terrible. This is the worst year of my life, but on the other hand, I'm very glad that I have a roof over my head, water and food, because and many people do not have a home, and I feel so sorry for such people. I always try to send them money to help in any way I can. For example, I have a friend who lives with her family in Zaporizhia. Russians bombed the neighboring house and many people died, unfortunately. They are very afraid of their lives. Now I help them find apartments in my city. Hope this all ends soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora.
I also wanted to say that besides spreading the information, we can say that your help matters, your voices matter, and your money that you send matter. Because, for example, my mom is working at the kindergarten, and now it isn't working properly. There are no kids. There are internally displaced people. As far as I remember, there are like 90 of them. And every day she says that the help and the food that other countries are getting us and the food that they're getting is extremely important, and it helps them a lot to save their money and save the money of the people that just flew their homes and fled from that horrible war. And I really just want to thank you for this meeting, to really spread the awareness and spread everything that we experience in real life to the people that really want to hear that and want to be a part of this situation, I think.
Well, that's really very important for us to know, Vasya, that our help is getting to where it needs to be. So thank you for that. As the last thing we're going to do together today, and as Dr. Bodanik says, this is not the end, this is the beginning of our collaboration, is we'd like to learn a little bit of Ukrainian. So I'm going to go around, and if you can give us one word, each of you one word or phrase that you want us to know, either in English or Ukrainian, actually, but be great if it were Ukrainian, but one word you'd like to end with. And we'll start with you, Dr. Petrenko.
Окей. Ну, саме відоме – це «Слава Україні». І на сьогоднішній день, військовий час, ми використовуємо Укрзалізниця, Паляниця і Полуниця для того, щоб визначити, хто є росіянин, а хто українець. Так що вчимо Паляниця, Укрзалізниця. Maybe somebody else. Okay?
Okay, that was one long phrase. And we have Margazata, maybe you got that?
Маргажата, ви зрозуміли?
Звичайно. So Dr. Petrenko says that there is a word that distinguishes Ukrainians from Russians because only Ukrainians can pronounce it properly. Palyanetsia, palyanetsia. So this is the code word which is really helpful in the trenches, where even Russian-speaking soldiers that during the dark hours, when they can protect themselves, because they know if their allies are approaching or Russians are approaching and are going to kill them. So even Russian-speaking soldiers are using those words like Palanitsa or Zaliznytsia, which is the railway in Ukrainian, to recognize themselves and their allies.
Thank you. Maxime, one word or phrase you want to leave us with?
Very difficult to pronounce some words, you see, and some sounds.
So basically, if you talk about me, I would say like 3 typical greetings. One of them, I'm sure you know, it's like Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava, yeah, glory to Ukraine, glory to heroes. We also have got Slava Nazi, Smart Vorogam, so glory to the nation and death to the enemies. And the last one, Ukraina, Ponad usa, so Ukraine overall, something like that. So this one is like, I think the most important you to know, like how to greet Ukrainians anywhere.
Thank you, Maxine. Nura.
Yes, I want to tell you about a verb, kochati. It's a verb, namely in a romantic way. Kochati.
Okay, kochati. Thank you. Pavzo.
Well, I think there is just one word that I want to say is перемога, is victory. This is just what we're gonna face soon, and I know that we're gonna be victorious in this war. So перемога.
Thank you. Danilo.
Yeah, I'd like to teach you an expression which means love your motherland. Любить батьківщину.
Thank you. Anastasia.
Yes, so I wanted to share the phrase "Все буде Україна" because Ukraine will win, Ukraine is fighting, and there will be peace, and Ukraine will be developing. So все буде Україна.
Thank you. And Dr. Sorochan.
Yeah, I would like to share a bit of a meme phrase if you ask me. It would be bavovna. You know, there is a short story when Ukraine decided to fight back Russia. So we started bombing Russian territory in Belgorod, for example. But Russia has a censorship in their TV, so they could not speak about explosions or some kind of attacks. So instead of that, they used to say claps, like sound of clapping. And after that, some of Russians decided to go to Ukraine undercover using Google Translate in Ukrainian language, and they say that there have been bavovna in the region. But bavovna is the Ukrainian word for cotton, but in Russian it would be the same as for clap, chlopok. So in this case, this meme was born, and every time we are referring to explosions or attacks in Russia, like in Belgorod or Kursk or somewhere, we are saying that bavovna is happened there.
Thank you. Tatiana.
So it's a phrase that is very meaningful for us. Борітеся, поборете. And it's a quote of Taras Shevchenko. Probably you have heard about this world famous author. And it means like battle on and you will win your battle. Keep fighting. So it's the phrase.
Thank you. And Vasil.
I would like to share the phrase that helps me keep strong. This is the phrase "stay strong." Залишайтеся сильними. It's something that we should recall to ourselves every day when we wake up and go to bed.
Thank you. And Dr. Bialik, you've got the last word here.
Thank you, Dr. Landorf. And I think that when the students and all the participants spoke about help for Ukraine or something like that, so it means that Ukraine is not poor. It does not mean that Ukraine is poor. It is robbed, but it is not poor. It has fast, and I think that American students should know about that it has many firsts in industry and in the agriculture. We cannot speak about our black soil. We cannot speak about our industrial enterprises and so on. So that's why we still believe, so there was such a tongue, you see, so, and we do believe that the Ukraine will exist, the Ukraine will flourish, the Ukraine, but it will be together with our common efforts of all the world. So I suppose, so все буде Україна, as Nastya, so she mentioned this thing, it seems to me. You see, so все буде Україна. Ukraine will be. So thank you very much. So really, it was exciting, you see, meeting, you see, by the way.
And Marizata.
Дякуємо вам за вашу участь у цій події, за те, що ви знайшли у собі силу, щоб нам розповісти про свій особистий досвід. Велика вдячність вам за вашу щирість та мужність, за те, що ви не здаєтеся, що тримаєтеся один одного та своїх цінностей, та нагадуєте нам, що ця війна не стосується лише України. Вірте в себе, в своїх однодумців і в свою країну. Паляниця. Дякую.
Well, thank you all, and until the next time, please stay safe and know that we're with you.
Because many students were willing to participate, you see, but this was just a limited number. So that's why we think that next time, you see, so we'll have more students, other students.
Thank you, colleagues, for this experience. It was incredibly interesting, and I hope that we will have such meetings more, because I believe all of the students and all of the members still have a lot of things to say about the situation. And for now, I just want to say Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Героям слава.
Перемога.
And God bless America.
And God bless the Ukraine.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. God bless everyone.
Thank you. God bless America. Thank you so much.